Good start. Okay, so get yourself onto your lift and bring yourself into a good cross-leg position. It does seem like a nice day today, doesn't it? So that's always a good way to begin the day, isn't it? And the weather is nice. So just have a little wriggle about. Just feel that you're sitting evenly. Hold onto your knees and then elevate the chest upwards. Just spend some time listening to the sound of the breath as it exits and as it comes in and exits. Just listen to the sound of the breath. Just look down at the floor. Look at something that doesn't move on the floor so that you can keep your eyes still in the sockets. Fill in both lungs evenly and empty in both lungs evenly. And then bring your hands into Namaste. Press the palms firmly together, lengthen from your armpits into your elbows, from your elbows into the heels of the hands. And with an exhalation, allow your eyes to gently close. So just focusing on filling the lungs evenly, emptying the lungs evenly, listening to the sound of the breath. Just drawing your attention into the physicality of the breath. And then very gently draw your chin down to meet your chest. Spend a moment or two to listen to the breath and to spend a little time drawing your focus inwards, creating a sense of thankfulness and gratitude for something or someone or somewhere. Holding on to that feeling of abundance in the heart area. Release the hands down and bring your hands down onto the knees, palms facing upwards. And then with an inhalation, allow your eyes to gently reopen. Hold onto your knees, lift up into the chest, almost as though your upper body is just going to leave the lower body behind, lifting up towards the ceiling. Take a deep inhalation and then turn to the right side, drawing your abdomen and your chest and your shoulders across, keeping your neck soft. Using each subsequent exhalation to rotate the spine a little more deeply. And then come back to the center, hold onto your knees, lift up into the chest, drive your chest upwards, take a deep inhalation in through the nose. And then turn to the left, drawing your abdomen across, your ribs across, your shoulders across. And then gently come back to the center, come down onto your knees, and from there stretch forwards into virasana. So come down onto your knees, have your big toes together, your knees apart, lifting up into the chest, and then stretching forwards, coming forward, spreading the fingers, spreading the palms, maintaining the connection between the seat bones and the heels, feeling the stretch of the spine. And extend forwards. Just listening to the sound of the breath. So I did my back in last week, so this feels good to really focus on turning the tailbone in and lengthening into the arms. Just listen to the breath. Listen to the in-breath and to the out-breath. So if you've got stiff shoulders, this is a good way to lengthen out the armpits to access the tailbone region, drawing that down and then lengthening deeply into the hands, pushing the hands into the floor to really activate the shoulders. Come up onto your knees. Have your hands as wide apart as the mat. Spread your fingers, spread your palms, turn your toes under, and then come up into dog down. So bend your knees, even if you came up with straight legs. Turn the tailbone up towards the ceiling, the seat bones up towards the ceiling, so that you draw the shoulder blades in. And then straighten the legs. Just listen to the breath and draw the out breath into areas of resistance. But if there's resistance in your shoulders, go to the hands and press the palms into the floor, press the fingers into the floor rather than just relying on the heels of the hands. Breathing in through the nose and out through the nose. Okay, and then stepping the feet forwards, coming up into a standing position. And then get your blocks for your hands for half virasana. And have your feet as wide apart as the mat, with the feet in line with the edge of the mat. So that's really important. The placement of the feet is important, because if you turn the toes in slightly, if your toes are closer together than your heels, then you've got instant space in your hips. If your toes are the other way out, if the toes are turned outwards, then you have instant resistance in your hips. It's instant there's resistance that gets in the way. So turn the toes in, have your heels out, in line with the edge of the mat. Tighten up the kneecaps, lift the kneecaps, and then reach up to the sky. Have your hands wide apart to start off with. It's a good pose for positive thinking. Stretching out of the tired body. And then hinge at the hips, come forwards, keep your arms lifted, keep the head lifted, come halfway, and then reach down and find the blocks. So we're activating our legs by tightening the kneecaps. But it's not just tightening the kneecaps, we're turning fronts of the shins in, fronts of the thighs in, so the backs of the legs broaden. We're lifting the shins out of the ankle socket, lifting the kneecaps up away from the shins, the thighs away from the kneecaps, up into the hip socket. And we're projecting the chin and the chest forwards. Be right on your fingertips on the blocks. And then you can really get a good extension of the front chest. Make sure that your weight is in your heels, so hit your legs back a little. If you go down lower, then do. If you've got a problem back, then stay at the level that feels safe for your back. Projecting the chin and the chest forwards. If you can come all the way down, then do. But read what your back is telling you. So like I say, I did my back in at the weekend, just doing a bit of gardening, so I'm being a little more cautious of my back than I normally need to be. But if you can reach down to the floor, then do. If you can reach around the outsides of the heels, then do. But keep the front chest lifted. Keep the front chest elevating forward. So where there is resistance, observe the body around it. Can you minimize resistance through activation of the legs, through activation of the chest, through activation of the arms? Just breathing evenly and deeply. And then if you've gone down to the heels, just bring your hands back into half uttanasana, and then come up into a standing position, bending your knees on the way up if you need to. And then just move the blocks and come into Tadasana. So just be in Tadasana, inner edge of the feet together. Big toes touching, heels are touching. And then lift up into the chest. Stretch your arms forwards, draw your consciousness into each individual finger. And then like you're holding onto the air, like you're holding an invisible box of air, raise that box up towards the ceiling, keeping the arms perfectly in sync with each other. Lengthening up, squeezing that imaginary box of air. Observing how that activates the latissimus dorsi muscles around the side ribs. And then release, but bringing that box of air back down. And then interlock the fingers, turn the palms all the way out, and then raise your arms up and over your shoulders, over your head. Squeezing the outer elbows in. Bring the arms back down, swap the interlock of the fingers, turn the palms all the way out, squeezing the outer elbows in, and then raising your arms over your head. And then release your arms, just bring your arms to the sides of the body. Bring the arms out nice and wide in towards your chest, and then step or jump the feet apart for trikonasana, turning the left toes in, the right leg and foot all the way out, lifting up into the chest. And then just reaching over, keeping that back leg really firm, pressing the outer heel into the floor of that back heel, turning the chest upwards. Pressing the outer edge of that back foot into the floor, the little toe side of that back foot, lifting the instep, lifting that inner heel into the inner ankle bone. Just look down as your head over your foot. If it's not, then adjust the position so that it is. And then look up again. Reach up with the top hand, come back to the center, swap the feet around, turning the right toes in, the left leg and foot all the way out, reaching up into the chest, tightening the kneecaps, and then coming over and finding the shin, and then looking up, turning the chest up to face the ceiling. And then reach up with the top hand, come back to the center, bring the feet parallel, and then step or jump the feet back together. Coming back into Tadasana, just raising the chest upwards, lengthening the arms down. Breathing evenly And deeply listening to the sound of the breath. So garudasana is the eagle pose, and it's a really good stretch for the shoulders, but it's equally a good stretch for the hips as well. So let's do the arms first. So just lengthen the arms down to the floor, lift up into the chest, lift the front chest upwards as much as you can. And then just let the arms relax a second, and then just swing the arms. Swing the arms so that the right hand comes in front of the left hand. So on top of so one arm always goes on top of the other. This time, let it be the right arm on top of the left. And then grip your elbows. So not grip your elbows, grip your shoulders. So you're trying to creep the hands towards each other behind the back. So you almost like you're prizing your shoulder blades apart. So the idea is that the bottom elbow has kind of slightly overshot the top elbow. So they're not in line with each other. They've moved beyond each other. And then just raise up that bottom arm, keeping the other elbow in the crease of the elbow. And then straighten that right hand, turn the palm up to face the ceiling, and then bring the palms of the hands together if you can, or just hold on to the thumb, or you can even get a belt, just holding onto the palms of the hand. Press the elbows apart. Lengthen the elbows away from the shoulders and the forearms away from the face, and lengthen the hands up, lengthen the fingers up towards the ceiling. Breathing evenly and deeply, listening to the sound of the breath. Okay, and then just gently release your arms. Just let the arms swing. So have the left arm on the top this time. Just let the arms swing. Just feel how the shoulders can just open up a little. And then again, reach around and get hold of the shoulders. Get hold of the shoulder blades and try and draw them apart. Try and draw those shoulder blades away from each other. So almost like you're rounding your back, but we're going to address that a little later. But just to get the hands really stretching, or get the arms really stretching, the shoulders really stretching, try and creep the hands towards each other. Then bottom arm, raise that upwards, keeping the other elbow in the crease of that elbow. Turn that top hand to face the ceiling, and then see if you can bring the palms together, or as much as you can. Pushing the palms firmly together, lengthening from the shoulders into the elbows, from the elbows into the hands, pushing the forearms away from the face, lifting up into the arms. Breathing evenly and deeply, listening to the sound of the breath. And then release your arms, and then just let the arms hang for a moment, and then lengthen down into the arms, and just observe perhaps how the shoulders have come to life a little. Just listening to the breath. Just listening to the sound of the breath as it enters and as it exits. Okay, so the next stage is the legs. So sometimes it's useful, so ideally this is a balancing pose. So ideally, so you can have a post nearby, or something to hold on to, or if you know that you're not going to be able to balance very easily, then you can just do it. Imagine this is a solid wall. This isn't a solid wall, so I can't really lean on it. But as you bend the knees, you slide yourself down the wall, and you keep yourself kind of attached to the wall to give you balance. Okay, so we're going to do the legs. So you bend the knees like you're going to go down into Utkatasana. So keeping the knees together, bend the knees, but keep lifting up into the chest as though you are in Utkatasana, because Utkatasana is a bending of the knees and a lifting of the chest. And then just bring up the right knee. Bring the right knee up. See if you can give it a kiss. That's only, that's not an official move, obviously, but it just means that you've got your knee high, and that's what you need. Then get hold of that right knee with the left hand, and then sweeping across, you're going to see if you can bring that knee over beyond the other knee. I struggle with the legs a little bit, and then hook the foot behind the shin. And then top leg becomes the bottom arm. So see if you can then do the arms with the lift up into the chest. So keep the knees bent. Try and keep the foot tucked behind the shin, the calf muscle, even if mine slips away a little bit. Breathe in evenly. Okay, and then uncoil. And then just come back into Tadasana. Just observe the energy of the legs, of the chest. So especially if that standing leg, maybe that standing leg feels particularly energized. So we're going to do the other side. Bend in your knees as though you're going down into Utkatasana, but keeping the chest lifted. And then bend that left knee this time. Again, give it a kiss, just to make sure that it's high, and then sweep it across. Get that knee across the other, hooking the foot behind the shin if you can, and then top leg becomes bottom arm, and then reach up to the ceiling. Just breathe in deeply and evenly. I've lost my balance. Okay, and then uncoil, and then come back up into Tadasana. Just feel the energy as it rises from the feet up into the legs, into the chest, into the arms, into the head. So it's the power and the energy of an eagle. So garudasana is the eagle pose. Come down onto your knees, have your hands shoulder width apart, turn your toes under, and then come back up into dog down. Just observe if there is any difference in your pose. Okay, and then come down onto your knees. Just sit back on your heels for a moment, just lifting up into the chest. Just spend a moment to just observe the energy you have released so far, that lightness that radiates out from the bones. Okay, and then just get your bolster, and we're going to go into supta virasana. So supta virasana is never the most popular of poses because it's challenging. But if you find that that coming back onto a straightforward bolster is too much of a strain in your back or too much of a strain in the fronts of the thighs, then give yourself a bit of extra lift. Have a couple of blocks underneath your bolster and just pile the bolster on top of the block so it's a little bit higher. Or if you've got two bolsters, then you can have one on top of the other, like so. And then you've got a really good lift. Have a blanket for your head, and then just come to the other end and bring the knees together. Have the feet so that the feet are maybe just touching the bolster, so you're not going to sit back on the bolster when you go back. Get your thumbs right into the backs of your knees, and then encourage the calves to draw away from the backs of the knees, rolling the calves out to the side. If you've got problems with your knees, then you can put a belt into the back of your knee like this, and then as you sit back, you pull the belt away from the knee, and it just gives you space in the back of that knee. So try and keep the knees together as much as you can, and then you probably won't, but you might be sitting on the floor, but chances are you probably won't. That's not important. Just bring the bolster so that it's close to you, and then just lift up into the chest. So how you go down is important. So lift the chest upwards. Really feel like you open the front chest, like you're kind of almost arching your back by lifting the front chest. Then come down onto the elbows, and then get a blanket for your head, and then just prop the head up with the blanket. Now at this stage, sometimes it can feel strong in the lumbar, so you're going to prevent the seat bones from coming down onto the floor. You're going to lift the seat bones. You're going to turn the tailbone up to face the ceiling. You're going to turn the tailbone away from the sacrum and up towards the ceiling. You're going to lengthen the buttock flesh down towards the heels. And then you're going to draw the abdominal muscles in to support the spine, but keeping the abdomen soft at the same time. It's not feeling like it's tension. It's drawing the abdomen in towards the spine, drawing the belly button towards the spine. And then stretch your arms up to the ceiling, interlock the fingers, turn the palms all the way out, and then lengthen your arms along the floor, along away from the body as much as you can. Keep the tailbone lifting up towards the ceiling, so that it's not a passive pose. It remains an active action. If it becomes passive, then it starts to become a bit uncomfortable. But keep the pose active, lengthening the sacrum flesh down towards the backs of the knees, drawing the sacrum into the tailbone and turning the tailbone up towards the ceiling, softening the abdomen but drawing the abdomen towards the spine, drawing the belly button towards the spine. Breathing evenly, deeply, listening to the breath. So it's a stretch of the calf, not the calf muscle, stretch of the quad muscles, and the thighs. It's a stretch of the spine. Just release your arms, swap the interlock of your fingers, and then turn the palms all the way out. Try to keep the knees together. Maybe you notice that after a little while your knees start to draw apart. So can you address that? Try and draw the knees back together. Okay, release your arms. Come onto your elbows. and then lift yourself up, and then come up onto your knees. Just let the legs recover. So that will take a little while, and then very gently turn your toes under, and then come up into dog down, just very gently straightening the legs, bringing the heels down. We usually resist bringing the heels down, but after supta virasana it feels good to get a good stretch of the calf muscles. Just let the legs recover. Once your legs are recovered, come down onto your knees and then sit just in front of your bolster, and then come into supta baddha konasana along the bolster. So just bringing the body down along the bolster, feet together, knees apart, and then just rest into the pose, keeping the knees as close, keeping the feet as close into the body as you can, and then opening the front chest, feeling the softness in the spine, softness in the hips. But if there's stiffness in your hips, then support the thighs with some blocks. Otherwise, just try and draw your knees down to the floor. So while we're in supta baddha konasana, I want you to focus on rising the breath energy from the perineum all the way up to the collarbone, and the out breath energy from the collarbone down towards the perineum, so the apanic breath. So the inner energy of the in-breath rises from the perineum and up to the collarbone, and the out-breath from the collarbone and down towards the perineum. So we can, now that we're in this position, now that we're adjusting the direction of the breath, we can move into a little Viloma pranayama. So Viloma pranayama is the interrupted in-breath. So you start the in-breath at the perineum, and then you breathe in, and then you stop, and you hold very gently. And then without exhaling, you inhale again, like you're walking up the steps of a ladder from the perineum to the collarbone. And then with each step, you breathe in, and then you hold. And that hold is always gentle. It's a soft suspension of the inhalation. And then you continue that way until the lungs feel full and you've gone from the perineum all the way up to the collarbone. And then normal exhalation, that's stage one. So after just a few more conscious normal inhalations, Take a good exhalation, just a normal exhalation, and then we'll begin to interrupt the in-breath until the lungs feel full. So you're walking up the ladder and stopping on each rung of the ladder. So remember never to overdo the hold, and just to release with a normal exhalation. Just several cycles. One more cycle. And then just bring the breath back to a normal rhythm. If your supta baddha konasana is starting to feel uncomfortable in the hips, we can stay down here, but rather than supta baddha konasana, you can just bend your knees, bring your knees in towards each other, and then just stretch your legs out so that we're in this kind of heart pose. So we're lengthening the legs away, but we're staying lifted on the lift. So if supta baddha konasana feels like it's too strong on your hips, then stretch your legs out. And we'll move into the next stage of Viloma, which is the interrupted out breath. So a normal inhalation from the perineum to the collarbone, and then we interrupt the out breath. We really engage with the energy of the breath with the out breath, I think. So just take some normal inhalations, normal exhalations. And then take a normal exhalation and normal inhalation. And then we'll start to interrupt the out breath, walking down the ladder, stopping on each step of the rung of the ladder. Remember normal full inhalations without stopping and interrupted out breaths. breath back to a normal rhythm. Normal inhalations, normal exhalations. Draw your knees together if you're still in supta, baddha, konasana, or just bend your knees if you're in. If you just stretch your legs out, just have a little rock on the bolster from side to side with the knees moving from side to side, and then just roll yourself off the bolster, and then sit yourself in cross legs. Hold onto your knees, lift up into the chest. Just observe your energy. Lightness of energy from the inside. Take a deep inhalation and then turn to the right side. Drawing your abdomen across your ribs, across your shoulders, across. And then come back to the center. Hold onto your knees, lift up into the chest. Take a deep inhalation. And then turn to the left. And then come back to the center. Just for a minute or so, we're just going to come into, just lay on our front with the bolster underneath us. So have a block for your head, have a blanket on top of the head, just coming into our restorative surfboard pose, just to lengthen out the spine, just to relax the shoulders and the neck. Just allowing yourself to just gently release in the hips and in the shoulders. Just allowing yourself to release into the bolster, feeling that the back chest is opening and broadening a little. Just observe the energy on the inside, that lightness of energy radiating out from the bones, permeating into the muscles and the flesh and the skin. Observing that feeling of energetic lightness. And then bring your hands underneath your shoulders. Just push yourself up into a seated position. Just sit back on your heels for a moment. Just observe that lightness of energy in the limbs, in the bones, in the blood. Okay, and then just sit yourself in cross legs on your bolster. So with the cross legs with the hands in the masti, just raise the chest, close your eyes and draw your breath in through your nose down into the abdomen. Be conscious of the energy that you've released through your practice. That good, positive, healthy flow of clean energy that the extensions and the forward bends and the twists and the pranayama bring to the body and to the mind. And then draw your chin down to meet your chest. Spend a moment to seek to acknowledge the positive energy you've created inside. And radiate that positive energy out into the world. And then gently release the backs of your hands down toward your knees, palms facing upwards. As you raise your head, allow your eyes to softly open and the focus to softly come back. Thank you very much. Thank you. So hopefully you feel as though you've really lifted your energy on the inside, just giving yourself good, quiet energy to put into your day. Thank you very much for joining me.